Hi, I'm Aisha from Australia. Please like and subscribe. Mom always said that my twin sister Eva and I competed with each other since we were in the womb. I was supposed to come out first, but Eva beat me to it. Growing up, I was a wild and carefree kid, while Eva was the complete opposite. She always had her nose in books, whereas my head was always up in the clouds. Mom liked that Eva did well in school and had her life together, so she'd compare us a lot. She always wanted me to be more like Eva, but man, you only live once, and I was in no mood to be that boring. I loved playing with model airplanes. We lived near an airport, and whenever I heard them flying over, I'd run out and wave to them. Hi! Bye! Bye, Mr. Pilot! I knew that when I'd grow up, I'd be a pilot, and I'd fly away anywhere I wanted. I could never sit still for long, and I'd always get in trouble for being too wild. Once when I was 7, a mosquito kept me up half the night, so I decided to use my water gun to get revenge. But when I accidentally knocked over Mom's favorite flower vase, she was so mad. Aisha, that was so expensive. Why can't you be more like your sister?
Here, Mom, take my shoe. She deserves a good beating for this. It was an accident. I just wanted to get that stupid bug.
Mom never raised a hand to me, but I think I pushed her buttons a lot. At school, I was super popular and I had a best friend, Ryan. We'd play together every day, and he always picked me up on his bicycle and we'd go for fun rides. I think Eva liked him though. She'd always try and keep him from seeing me, and she acted weird around him. Once when he came to pick me up, she stopped us from leaving.
Do you think you can take me to the shop with you today, Ryan? I'll buy you some sweets.
You mean you'll steal some again? The shopkeeper told me you weren't allowed back there anymore.
He has no proof. Maybe Aisha stole them. Unlike you, I don't need to steal. I save my money instead of spending it all on books. At least I know how to read, unlike you two dummies.
As we cycled away, Eva angrily picked up a pebble and threw it straight at us. Ryan dodged it, but he lost his balance, and we both fell off his bicycle. We laughed at her silly tantrum and rode off while she cried to Mom. When we reached middle school, I realized that Eva was right about one thing. I would have to study harder if I wanted to be a pilot one day. I'd never admit that to her though, but I started working much harder. And by the time I was in 8th grade, I won the best scholar over her. She was so jealous. To celebrate, Mom took us out for a picnic, and Eva pouted the entire time. That is, until a boy on a bike passed us and splashed me with dirty water.
Now that is something worth celebrating.
You stop right now and apologize. To my surprise, he actually stopped and took off his helmet. Oh, my, did I do that? I'm sorry, I was in a hurry.
Don't apologize, handsome. You're my new hero.
Would you just shut up, Eva? And you ruined my clothes, man. Wait, I have an idea that'll help. Suddenly, the boy picked up a garden hose and sprayed me down from head to toe. I screamed and covered my face, and the jerk ran to his bike and rode off. Eva laughed all the way home, and I wanted to kill them both. Luckily for me, I got revenge when I beat Eva for head prefect of the 9th grade. She was so upset by the news that she tried to have a revote, but the senior class president said I had won by a landslide. Try not to be a sore loser, Eva. I won fair and square. If she didn't hate me already, she sure did now. One day at school, I noticed a boy sliding down the railing of the stairs, and I realized it was that jerk who'd ruined my dress. As soon as he saw me, he started running, and I followed. But he was too fast for me, and I lost track of him in the garden outside. As I turned around to go back inside, he suddenly appeared in front of me, holding a bunch of roses. Oh God, those were from the principal's precious garden. Pretty roses for a pretty girl. I thought you should have them after I was so rude. You're in so much trouble. Those are the principal's roses, and she's gonna… Shh! You always look so angry. Why don't you give those beautiful lips a rest? I'm Eric, by the way. He then took my hand and kissed it. You're an odd duck. When he suddenly quacked like one, I couldn't help but laugh. It turned out he was a new student, and literally every girl was going crazy over him, including Eva. She did everything she could to get his attention. One day at lunch, she accidentally bumped into him, and her scarf got caught on his watch. When she giggled and said fate was trying to bind them together, I almost threw up. But Eric just took off his watch and set it down on the table. There, now fate is binding you to the table. The look on her face as he walked away was priceless. And I had to admit, I liked his style. We began to spend a lot of time together, and I really enjoyed his company. And I was kind of falling for him too. But I was spending less time with Ryan now, and he seemed very upset by that. I told him he'd be my best friend no matter what, but he almost seemed jealous. Eric didn't like me spending time with Ryan either. One day while we were studying together in the library, Eric saw us and he freaked. Are you trying to steal my girlfriend? Why are you always around her? He grabbed Ryan by the collar and shoved him away from me. Eric, what are you doing? He's my best friend. He wants to be more, and he won't admit it. That was the first time I noticed Eric's possessiveness, and I was so mad at him, but he begged me to forgive him. I'm so sorry. I'll never do it again. Please, forgive me. I couldn't help but forgive him. Maybe he just didn't know how close Ryan and I were. The next day, Ryan came over, and he was so upset. Trust me, that guy is bad news, Aisha. You just don't know him like I do. Fine, whatever. Won't matter to me because I'll be leaving soon anyway. What do you mean? I've been trying to tell you, but we haven't had a moment alone. I got a scholarship to a great school and I'm moving out of the city. I can't believe you didn't tell me about this sooner. When do you leave? Why do you care anyway? I'll be gone by the end of the week, and then you two will never see me again. Goodbye, Aisha. With that, he rode off, and I was so sad to lose my best friend. Just then, Eva huffed from behind me. I can't believe how stupid you're being. What are you going on about? Ryan is totally in love with you, you idiot. He has been since we were kids, and you're wrecking it all for that jerk Eric. What? You're crazy. We're best friends, and he's never liked me like that. You're so blind, Aisha. But fine, don't listen to me. As usual, Eva shoved me aside and stomped off angrily, and I felt so confused. I tried not to think about it much, but Eva wouldn't quit. Whenever she heard Eric and me talking on the phone, she'd pull funny faces to distract me or start making a lot of noise. One afternoon, I lost my cool completely. Eva, what is your problem? Get over it. Eric likes me, not you. I don't want him. That guy's a jerk, and you're being foolish. He is no good. Yeah, nobody's good enough for me, but they're perfectly fine for you. You'd take him in a second if you wanted you. Maybe she finally got the message because she stopped nagging me about him. After graduation, Eric and I got accepted into the same university. We wanted to be together through college, so I'd taken up an engineering degree like him and put away my pilot dreams. I cared for him deeply, and he came first. One morning, I noticed Eva's door was open and her bed hadn't been slept in. When I went in, I found a note on her bedside table. Mom, I'm leaving forever to live with my true love. Aisha stole my childhood crush Ryan, and she didn't even want him. Please give her poison in food. She took away all the fun from my life, but this boy is just a thrill. What? I didn't even know she was dating anyone. After this news, Mom had a total breakdown, and I had to take over doing everything in the house. She slept the whole day and was never interested in anything anymore. While all this was happening, I was still studying and dating Eric. After we graduated, Eric proposed and we got married soon after. But I couldn't leave my mom behind, so I begged him if she could come live with us. He happily agreed, and he was the perfect husband. But as his career took off, he started working later and later, and I'd almost never see him. When he was home, he just wanted to watch TV or go to bed. After some time, I decided I should finally start working on my dreams again. But when I told Eric, he did not react the way I thought he would. I know you have these dreams of becoming a pilot, but what about your mom? Who will take care of her if you're not around? We'll have to put her in a home, but if that's what you want, I'll make some calls tomorrow. Eric was right. I couldn't do that to Mom. I immediately put my dreams aside. Mom came first. 2 years later, I found out that I was pregnant, and I was so happy. But as my time came closer, I realized it was going to be tough taking care of everything by myself. When I asked Eric if we could hire a housekeeper, he refused. He said we couldn't afford it, and he was never around to help me with anything. Even after our beautiful son was born, he'd always be gone working. He was cold and distant. He had no interest in spending time with his family. One afternoon, I was mopping the floor when I heard Mom scream. I turned around to see her rush toward the baby as he was falling off the bed. She caught him just in time, but she knocked over a flower vase and it shattered to pieces. When Eric rushed in to check what was going on, he lost his mind and began screaming at her. "You idiot. Do you have any idea how expensive that was? Money just doesn't grow on trees." I was so shocked. And then, furious. Don't talk to my mother like that. And she just saved our son from falling off the bed. Don't start with me. I work all day to provide for all of you. Do you think it's easy? I work all day at home too. And I'd get a job too, but you never let me. Your job is here, in this house. That's where women belong. That's just your backward thinking. I'm capable of earning a living too. You should be thankful to me, not giving me attitude. I care for you, your mother, your son, our son. If you're not happy with this arrangement, then why don't you leave? See how you manage on your own. Who was this man I married? I realized in that moment how wrong I'd been and how everyone tried to warn me against him. Ryan and Eva, they were right. I packed my bags and we left him. Eric didn't even try to stop me, and I had a newfound determination to prove that jerk wrong. We'd be fine without him. I got a job as a receptionist and moved us into a small house with my first paycheck. In all that time, Eric never looked for us. I began to think of Eva a lot, and I felt upset that I'd never believed her about him. One afternoon after leaving work, I spotted a homeless girl begging for food. When I got a closer look, my world crumbled to pieces. It was Eva. When she saw me, she tried to run away, but I caught her and held her close. "Where have you been, Eva?" She told me how her boyfriend only used her for money, and when she lost her job, he left her with nothing. "Why didn't you come looking for us?" "I tried looking for you both, but when you got married and moved, I had no idea where to find you." I took her home with me, and when Mom saw her, she nearly fainted. My beautiful girls, together at last. Eva moved in, and I got her a job as a waitress so she could get back on her feet. We rebuilt our relationship over time, and we'd never been closer. Some months later, Eva and I were watching MSA videos on YouTube with my son when suddenly I looked up at the TV to see the news. A young pilot had saved a plane from crashing, and he was being called a hero. And to my shock, it was Ryan.
Mr. Ryan, what motivated you to become a pilot? I loved a girl growing up, and she was obsessed with becoming a pilot. She even insisted she'd only marry a pilot one day, so I wanted to be one. But before I could tell her I'd cleared the pilot's exam, she told me that she had a boyfriend. I gave her up, but I'm glad I didn't give up on being a pilot. It's the most amazing job ever.
I was speechless. I called him up, and when he didn't answer, I left a voicemail. Days passed, but he didn't call me back. I'd almost given up hope when one morning someone knocked at the door. When I opened it, it was Ryan. He wore his pilot's uniform, and my heart nearly stopped.
I finally found you, after all these years.
Ryan, you never said you loved me. Why?
I'm saying it now. I love you.
So much has happened. I'm not the same girl anymore.
I know about Eric, about everything. I don't care. As long as you're willing to give us a chance, we can get to know each other again.
I agreed, and being with him was amazing. And he was really good with my son, too. I told Ryan that I'd only marry him after I passed the pilot's exam, and he supported me completely. A year later, I had my first official flight as a working pilot, and when I landed, he was waiting for me at the airport with a ring.
A deal's a deal. Will you marry me, Aisha?
Yes, I will. Hi, I'm Mariam from London. Please like and subscribe. I lived with my parents and my grandma on my dad's side. Grandma was a millionaire, so we lived in a mansion with a pool and even a tennis court. But Grandma was also the meanest lady on the planet, except to me. When Mom made dinner, everything tasted wrong. I've never eaten rice this overcooked. I might as well eat bleach for dinner. But one time, I made Grandma a mustard sandwich, and she was blown away. Look at you, already cooking at 10 years old. My granddaughter is the smartest girl on the planet. Grandma also showered me with expensive gifts, constantly. One time, I helped Dad clean the floors, and Grandma bought me a TV for my room. Look at you doing your chores. This is what you get for being an angel, darling. Grandma scolded Mom and Dad for not spoiling me the way she did. Mariam had a fever yesterday. You two cheapskates couldn't hire a singer or a boy band to entertain her. Even though she was a jerk to everyone around her, I loved being Grandma's little gem. Whenever my parents got mad at me, I had my grandma to hide behind. What is this D on your biology test, Mariam?
Grandma, Mom's yelling at me.
How dare you put that kind of pressure on Mariam? Sweetie, you don't have to study if you don't want to. My parents really wanted me to become a doctor when I grew up. They would get me all sorts of medical toys, but all I was ever interested in was paints, clays, and brushes. I often imagined myself as a famous painter and pretended to take a veil off a painting I made. Everyone would tell me I was the next Picasso, and I'd say, "Oh, you're all too kind." One day in 9th grade, I decided to sign up for a painting class, but my dumb parents said I had to take chemistry. It's time you start taking school seriously, young lady. We've had enough of your art nonsense. That was it. I opened my mouth and started to scream. My voice should have shattered the windows. Mom and Dad covered their ears. What is the matter with you? Are you a toddler?
I think I lost my hearing.
Grandma, they're being so mean to me. I don't want to take biology. I want to paint. You two should be ashamed of yourselves. Mariam is obviously an art prodigy and should be painting as much as she wants. We'll compromise then. You will take biology class, but we'll hire a tutor to give you private art lessons. Really? Oh, thank you so much. I knew I was being a little bratty, but if I could take private art lessons, so be it. My art tutor turned out to be a girl from my school. Her name was Layla, and she was in the 11th grade. And I didn't mind having her for my art tutor at all. She was one of the most popular girls in school and looked like a supermodel. I'd always heard about her, but I never got to talk to her before. I'm gonna help you become one of the greatest painters. Soon, you won't even need to go to school anymore. I sure hope you're right. I didn't know you were an artist, Layla. No one ever said anything. Nobody really knows me at all, really. I think I'm only popular because of how I look, but I don't have any real friends. Layla and I spent an hour painting and talking, and Layla was right. She wasn't like most popular girls at all. In fact, she was a little weird. One time, I decided to paint my entire face green just to see what it would look like. All right then, so I guess we're done for today? Actually, I wanted to ask you something. My parents are on vacation for like 6 months, so I'm all alone in my house. Can I stay at your place? I'll help out around the house and give you triple the art lessons. Triple the art lessons? I was gonna make sure Layla could live with us. Oh, for sure. I just gotta talk to my grandma. But my parents happened to be in the same room as Grandma, and they wouldn't have it. Some stranger living in our home? Are you crazy? Might as well invite a robber to live with us. You guys are so unfair. She said she's gonna give me triple the art lessons. Grandma, tell my parents to stop being jerks. Miriam's right. You two are heartless people. Not letting a friend of Miriam's into our home. Not letting her follow her dreams. You should be ashamed of yourselves. I knew then Layla was gonna stay with us for as long as I wanted her to. But as time passed, I didn't just do art with Layla. I also talked to her for hours. Miriam, how come your grandma's such a bully? She's a bully to everyone, but not to me. Don't you worry one day she'll bully you too? No, Grandma loves me. You know, you're kinda naive, Miriam. Sort of like a kid. I am not. No, it's a good thing. I wish I was more like that. Layla said the most confusing things, but I loved every moment I spent with her. Even at school, being with Layla was an adventure. She would do the weirdest things. Miriam, come with us to the boys' bathroom. We're gonna tape anonymous love letters on the wall. Are you crazy? Why? 'cause it'll drive them crazy. When no one was looking, Layla leaned over to me and whispered, "Consider this your most important art lesson, how to win over the boy you love. But I don't like any boys. Or maybe boys don't like you. You're too... I don't know what the word is. What's that supposed to mean? I don't know. Boys just maybe aren't into you. Like I said, you're kinda young for your age." Layla taped her anonymous love letter to the wall and left me inside the boys' bathroom. I was mad after Layla said that. I even refused to talk to her after school. Come on, Miriam, don't be so sensitive. I didn't mean anything by it. You insulted me. Maybe you are just another mean, popular girl. I'm sorry, you're right. Sometimes I say stupid things. Sometimes I think there's something wrong with me. What do you mean? Layla didn't answer. Instead, she took me to this gorgeous hiking trail to paint. I forgot all about our conversation. Layla, when will I be the world's best painter and be able to quit school? It doesn't work like that, silly. I was kidding when I said that. Maybe you'll never be a great painter. You don't think I'll ever be a great painter? I don't know, really. But did you know that you're the best student I ever had? Maybe you won't be a famous painter, but you'll be a famous something. Why was Layla always speaking in these weird riddles? And even though she was a mystery, I felt closer to Layla than I'd ever felt to anyone. Then, 10 months later, Grandma started picking on Layla one day. It was totally out of the blue at dinner time. "Dear, I assume your parents are successful painters?" No, ma'am. It's just me who likes to paint. My parents are doctors. But like I said, now they're on vacation. On vacation for almost a year? And you haven't displayed your paintings in galleries, started a business, and made something of yourself? Ma'am, I'm only 17. By the time I was 17, I was already starting my own startup. You're a freeloader is what you are. Grandma? Excuse me, but I think I'll go to my room now. I watched Layla get up from the table as her eyes filled with tears. Why was Grandma being so cruel all of a sudden? I was used to her bullying my parents, but Layla? I could barely stand it. I jumped up to follow Layla. Layla, wait! Don't take what Grandma said to heart. I told you, she can be mean sometimes. Your grandma's right, Miriam. I have to tell you something. What is it? I lied before. My parents aren't on a trip. The truth is, I'm homeless. After my parents died, I tried going to an orphanage, but they didn't take care of me, so I ran away and started stealing food and clothes. Then I got caught and got arrested. No foster parents want a girl with a criminal record. I've been living on the streets. So far, I've been able to keep it a secret at our school, but I'm worried one day they'll find out. Oh, Layla, I had no idea. Listen, if I tell Grandma about your situation, she'll understand. She always agrees with whatever I say, no matter what. But when I told Grandma Layla's story, her face turned white with anger. She looked like a statue. I want her out of my house, Miriam. I can't believe I ever agreed to let a filthy child criminal into my home. She leaves today, and I'm calling the police. Grandma, you can't do that. It wasn't her fault. I want her to stay here and teach me art. She's the bestest friend I've ever had. And for the first time ever, Grandma turned her anger on me. You don't know what you're saying, Miriam. You're just a silly child. Layla leaves my house today. Like it or not? Then something inside me burst. Grandma, I've had enough of your cruelty. You bully everyone around you, and I'm sick of it. You have no idea what Layla's gone through, and you have no idea what she means to me. Without waiting a split second, I ran back to my bedroom to find Layla, but she wasn't there. Where had she gone? All of a sudden, I saw Layla outside the window with a backpack. She was walking farther and farther away from our house. I dashed outside. Layla, where are you going? Layla just ignored me and kept walking. I ran up to her and grabbed her arm. Layla, please don't leave. You were right about Grandma. She is a bully, and I finally stood up to her. I don't care about what she wants. I care about you. Miriam, I think you better forget about me. It's for the best. What do you mean? I could never forget about you. You're not my family, Miriam. I don't have any family. Nobody loves me. I'm just your art teacher. That's all I ever was. Before I could say another word, Layla left. I tried chasing her. I never knew someone could run so fast. But after miles of sprinting, I collapsed on the ground and I burst into tears. I didn't get home until midnight. Grandma and my parents stood in the living room next to our giant, fancy fireplace. Grandma's eyes looked like they were on fire.
You spoiled, awful child, yelling at me and then vanishing out into the night? I should have you locked up in jail.
Okay, let's go easy.
She made a mistake. She's still your sweet Miriam, isn't she?
She was my sweet Miriam. That was before she became friends with a dirty homeless and spoke back to me. And if she keeps painting, she'll be a dirty homeless too.
I don't care what you say, Grandma. I am going to keep painting, even if I do end up poor.
Why don't you show me a few of your paintings then,
I will. I'm really good. In my room, I grabbed every painting of mine I could find. Grandma was going to see. Here, look at how many paintings I've done. And you know what? I'm proud of them.
Wow, honey, we didn't know you did that many.
They look beautiful.
Oh, darling, let me see.
Then suddenly, Grandma tossed my paintings into our giant fireplace.
No! Mom, how could you?
I threw myself on the floor and cried harder than ever. My beautiful paintings were gone, and Layla was gone. That's it. That was the last straw.
We're moving out of your mansion. We're tired of your cruelty. That's the silliest thing I've ever heard. You can't live without my fancy riches.
But the very next week, my parents and I packed up our stuff and moved into a new place. It was smaller, and it didn't have a tennis court. And I still couldn't stop thinking about Layla and where she could be. Then one day, I found a letter taped to my window. It was signed with Layla's name. Meet me at our hiking trail. I took the very next bus to our trail and tried calling Layla's name, but there was no answer. Then suddenly, who should I see but Grandma? Grandma, what on earth are you doing here? Darling, I wrote the note taped to your window. I was afraid you wouldn't come to meet me otherwise, and I remembered this was your favorite place to come with Layla. You mean Layla isn't here? I don't want to talk to you. I want to talk to her. Sweetie, I'll do anything to help you find her. But first, I want to apologize for being so awful to you and burning your paintings. I love you, sweetheart. Grandma started to cry and came over to hug me. I've been a bully your whole life, to your parents and now to you. After I saw your face when I burned your paintings, I realized I wanted to change. I love you, Miriam. I love you too, Grandma, but it's gonna take me some time to forgive you. I understand. I don't expect you to ever forgive me, but know that I'm here, and my house is always open to you. And if you do ever find Layla again, you both can move back in with me. I'll adopt her. Grandma left at that moment, and I stood in the middle of the hiking trail. And then suddenly, I saw Layla sitting on top of a rock. Layla! But as soon as Layla saw me, she started to run up the hiking trail. I chased her as fast as I could, but she was just running and climbing higher. Please, wait up. Go away, Miriam. Layla, please, don't run away from me. I raced up the hiking trail and tried to catch up with Layla, but she was so far ahead of me, I couldn't even see her. Suddenly, I heard a loud cry from above. I looked up to see Layla stuck between two rocks. She looked like she was ready to fall. Please, someone help me. Layla, I'm here, hang on. I rushed to Layla as fast as I could and tried to pull her up, but she wouldn't budge. My hand is slipping. Do something. I grabbed Layla with all my might, and she was finally free. Layla and I fell on top of each other and started laughing. But suddenly, Layla looked at me. Miriam, you're all scratched up. It's fine, Layla, I don't care. What matters to me is that you're okay. I couldn't live without you. Really? I mean that much to you? Yes. You're the most amazing friend and teacher I've ever had. I used to be so bratty and babyish. I had my grandma to run my whole life. But you've changed me. Even though we're not related by blood, you are my family. Do you really mean that? Yes. Layla, I talked to my grandma. She apologized for everything. And she said if I ever found you, she'd adopt you. Oh, Miriam, that's the best news I've ever heard. We'll paint up here every day. I'll teach you everything. We will, even if we're never famous. I'll always keep painting with you. I love you, Layla. I love you too.